Look at this beautiful trail that Paige and I have found ourselves on. Cutting off a few of the road miles in exchange for trail miles this morning. All thanks to Amy, our host last night.
Much quieter.
No doubt. Since we do have this moment of solitude, I thought that instead of simply sharing the essay that I had written, we would talk to you about it. For those of you who aren't so much into reading and are more into videos, all these things come together to form what I would say is really the foundation to any kind of self-regulation. You need to prioritize learning how to maneuver your attention so that you can give your attention to the things that are worth attending to, and then subject yourself to the kinds of things that will force you into becoming the kind of person that you want to become. And if the circumstance is outside of your control, you reframe it in such a way as to be productive. And between all of those, you can get to work on becoming just some kind of superhero. And it really is just an overview of training the mind. Training the mind starts with a recognition of certain facts about the mind. The first of which is, attention is the spotlight of our consciousness. It is essentially the only tool that we have to maneuver our awareness in such a way that we can place it on an object that we would like to occupy our attention instead of on an object that we would not like to have occupy our attention. Going straight uphill. The second understanding about the mind that can assist us in training the mind is that we become like the things we give our attention to. As the Stoics would say, everything that we consume intellectually, whether we're watching the news or we're reading a big, hearty book, it's affecting us, it's changing us, and our psychological structures, in fact, through neuroplasticity. And the third understanding about the nature of mind that can assist us in training the mind is that we need not be drug along by our attention when we can maneuver our attention intentionally. But this requires practice. It requires exercise, which is, in my opinion, more arduous than going to the gym or walking across the country. It requires that we focus our attention on something of little stimulation and continue to retrain it back to that object, whether it's the breath or dripping water. It's just mindfulness practices anchoring you to something that's occurring in the here and now, so that you're not instead drug along by the fastest thing to grab your attention. We can train our attention so that we can have longer attention spans rather than shorter attention spans. And as we begin to place our attention more intentionally, we can regulate ourselves in such a way as to instill better desires, consume better information, take in positive information, knowing that those things will change us. Even if we don't have the desire to consume them in the immediate moment, they can change us for the better, and we can get better at keeping attention on those things rather than the things which might be unhealthy for us and grab our attention more easily. One of the best ways to apply all of this is through subjecting yourself to the kinds of behaviorist techniques that behaviorists and psychologists have used to change people through behavioral therapy, and which societies have used to condition people into being more like what the powers that be might want them to be. Well, we can do this for ourselves, of course, by subjecting ourselves to the kinds of environments which will force us into becoming the best version of ourselves that we can be. I.e., if you want to become a more empathetic person, you can surround yourself with people that you don't necessarily empathize with, so that you can learn more about them and you can grow to understand them better. Or you can surround yourself with kind and caring people if you wish to be a more kind and caring person toward those people that you don't empathize with as well. The walk is like the extreme end of this, where Paige and I want to be able to get along with the whole world, and it's a kind of exposure therapy that's constantly whittling down those sharper corners of ours that would rub up against someone else abrasively. And the final tool at our disposal is cognitive reframing. You're not just beholden to your environment, but if you're subjected to the kind of environment that you don't necessarily want to be inside of, you can still use it as a means of personal growth. If you're around someone that you find annoying, you don't just need to escape the situation. You can instead reframe it and say to yourself, wow, I'm easily annoyed. I need to work on that. This is an opportunity for me to grow more patient and more accepting. And we can do this with everything that occurs internally. We can always be reworking it to the best of our abilities to turn it into something productive and positive. In every negative situation, you can find a way to interpret it as something that is to your benefit, because it's going to make you stronger, it's going to make you more understanding, it's going to make you more resilient and more capable. So all these things come together to form what I would say is really the foundation to any kind of self-regulation. You need to prioritize learning how to maneuver your attention so that you can give your attention to the things that are worth attending to, and then you implement behaviorist techniques in order to subject yourself to the kinds of things that will force you into becoming the kind of person that you want to become. And if the circumstances outside of your control, you reframe it in such a way as to be productive with your environment still. And between all of those, you can get to work on becoming just some kind of superhero. But all jokes aside, it's been hugely impactful in our lives. And these are things that we're thinking about every single day in everything that we do. And we're not always perfect about it. We fail quite often, but I can't imagine trying to walk across the country without utilizing these means of self-regulation.
Definitely. I drive myself crazy.